I don't think that we present evidence to ourselves to show that we exist. I don't think that makes sense. I think
So what do you appeal to?
Wait. Now we're again presupposing. We're presupposing our worldview. You see the problem? Danny, it's so surprised to me that you don't get anything we're saying. It's very simple, all right? When we're asking for evidence, and your simple response is, well, I don't think that's how it works. You do realize that there are different types of evidences. You have empirical evidence, and then we would have different types of categories of evidence for incorporeal things. I'm asking, what is your evidence?
By evidence, you mean that's what's expected on a given fact or hypothesis? Is that what you mean?
What leads you to the conclusion of logic, even using logic? Let's make it very simple.
But again, that's the thing, is that the notion of leading, I'm interpreting you as inferring. But you need logic to infer, so it doesn't make sense to
Exactly, it's circular
Oh my!
reasoning for what we believe.
Okay, do you understand? That's the whole point.
It's
yes, exactly.
Circular reasoning is something like
exactly. It's circular reasoning.
I'm not
Thank you.
circularly reasoning.
Well, you are. That's the whole point we went over earlier. That is circularity.
Wait, can I do a little bit of moderation?
Wait, hold on. The whole fact, Danny, the fact that you're even using logic right now, you are presupposing. Do you not understand?
If presupposing means that I'm not inferring to these truths, fine.
Everything you're doing right now, even making logical statements, is presupposing.
Michael, don't mute me.
Even you making logical statements is presupposing logic.
I'm gonna kick you down the road, mate.
Wait, shut up. Even you making logical statements is presupposing language. Do you understand? Now you have
can I actually word it in his own words? Hold on. Right.
No,
So
wait.
you said that you can't.
No, hold on. Wait, we're not gonna make this a 2v1. We're not gonna make this a 2v1.
No, I'm doing.
No, we're not gonna make this a 2v1. Calm down.
Lately, you're gonna get kicked, man.
I don't care, man.
Calm down, man.
Interrupting.
My goodness.
Interrupting.
Danny, so what I want is any type of evidence that you can name by yourself, any type of justification, doesn't matter which type it is. Do you have any justification for logic? If you're gonna say, well, we empirically derive it, or we just know because it is, well, that's obviously circular. And in your position, you obviously don't subscribe to circularity, so that's a problem.
I don't understand the problem.
Oh my god. Is this a joke?
It sounds like your question.
No, is this like actually a joke? You do not understand the problem?
No, look, the problem is that you are insisting that there's a kind of inferential type of justification going on when we're coming to very basic truths like the identity, that a thing is what it is. I don't think that we infer to those truths. I just don't. I didn't go from a set of premises to therefore A is A, and you're insisting that I did, but I'm not. I just haven't done that.
That's where it leads to, Danny. The fact that you're even making a logical statement right now, you're presupposing logic. You're presupposing yourself. You're presupposing language as meaning. Do you not understand? You understand that?
But you're asking me. Presumably, you haven't really clarified very well what you mean by justification, but I'm sort of presupposing myself that you are using the term justify to mean inference, going from one fact to another.
I literally said many times you can use whatever justification you want. I'm asking for your justification. The whole point of this argument is to show that you have no justification. That's why you won't give me one, because you know you don't have one. I'm giving you the chance. You can give an inference. You can give any type of justification you want. I'm asking, what is your justification?
Okay, so if you're talking about inferential justification, it's a category error on my view. To ask for a justification, an inference, right, to the very thing that allows for inferences is a weird question. It's a nonsense question.
You're just assuming it's a nonsensical question when these are actual questions being asked about the status of these things. Do you understand? And you do still need to give a justification. When I'm asking you for justification, you simply saying that doesn't follow just because it's circular. That's the whole point.
No,
At a point, you're going to have to go to circularity. At a point, you're going to have to go to circularity. Do you understand?
I'm not saying any of that. I didn't say anything about circularity. I didn't say any of that. What do you think I'm telling you?
Are you joking? Are you strawmanning? Are you strawmanning?
I'm asking you to represent me because I don't think you understood what I said.
Okay, look. So this will solve the problem. Michael, can you still man Danny's position?
He thinks that for some reason that it refers back to the thing it's trying to prove, that it's circularity, and that causes a problem. And therefore, because it refers to circularity, we can't appeal to it. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but there's a further issue is that I'm not telling you that I'm inferring anything. I'm not inferring that logic, therefore logic. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying there's logic, and to ask how I inferred to that, right, is to present some kind of category error.
No, it's not, because that's presupposing your position, which your position even denies. You're still not understanding, Danny. You keep appealing to the circularity, and I'm simply asking you for the justification for your precondition of logic. The fact that you're using logic means you're presupposing logic. You can go around all about the circularity all you want. I'm simply asking for justification in your use of logic in your worldview.
But if I've said that it doesn't make sense to offer an
That's
inferential justification,
Again, we're going back into fallacies. This is a personal incredulity fallacy. Just because it doesn't make sense doesn't mean the argument isn't valid.
well, I gave an argument for why it doesn't make sense.
No, that doesn't work because it still makes sense because it's questioning the status of a thing. I'm questioning the justification
I
for
don't
your
understand
logic
what you just
itself.
said there.
What?
I don't understand what you just said.
Okay, the status of your logic itself. What is the justification for that? Are you believing in it without any explanation? This is the most simple form
Like
I can
I
give.
said again.
This is the most simple form I can give about this argument. Are you believing in logic without any explanation?
Well, that's not an argument. That's just a question.
I'm dumbing it down. Do you believe in logic without any explanation or justification?
Well, there can be an explanation, like a causal explanation for why I have certain commitments, or there could. I mean, some people think that these sorts of truths are built into the idea of agency, and that's a form of explanation. But that's not what you're asking for. You're asking why is the agent justified in believing something like the law of identity? And I just don't take that to. It's either a nonsense question or it's like a useless question.
No, it's because you simply don't understand the question because you're playing sophistry. And I'm asking
In a
you for
way,
the
I don't
justification.
understand the
I simply asked you, what is the justification for the belief in these laws, these incorporeal things? What is the justification? Is it simply arbitrary?
I don't look again. There could be some kind of model that you could put together as to what causally explains us to have these commitments.
Yeah, might.
Or,
That doesn't answer my question. You're saying there might be. That doesn't give me a justification for the belief in laws of logic. That doesn't give me a justification.
I'm curious. You cut me off, assuming that you understood the point that I was making. What point was I was just? Do you understand the point I was just making?
No, because you're not addressing my point, Danny. You're not addressing my point of
Okay, so
giving a
if you didn't
justification for
understand
logic.
my point.
No, Danny, because
If you didn't
you're
understand my
addressing
point, I don't
something.
understand why you would.
Danny,
If you
you're
didn't
addressing a
understand my
point.
point, I don't understand why you
No,
would
Danny,
interrupt.
you're not addressing my point. Do you understand that you said we might this, might that? That doesn't answer the question or justification for your beliefs in logic.
But you didn't even understand what I was saying.
Oh my goodness, we're gonna keep going around this.
Well, how about this? Let's for the sake of progress. What does this have to do with the existence of God?
We'll get to
Suppose
that.
I
if
don't
you-
have a good answer.
You know,
Maybe I'm just
let me
wrong.
explain it, because it's the impossible of the contrary argument. We show that if God exists, logic must necessarily exist. Without God, logic wouldn't exist. Without logic, we would have a worldview of absurdity. Everybody would fall into absurdity. So the laws
Yeah,
of
why would
logic
anyone
and these
accept that?
these transcendental categories point to the existence of the Eastern Orthodox God because it gives justification, which your view doesn't.
Yeah, why would anyone accept those claims, specifically
The argument I'm making, you understand?
That's not an
Yeah, I
argument.
don't-
That's just a claim.
It's fine if you don't accept God in the picture, but I'm still making the argument.
You're
I'm beginning
kind of
to think that you
confused
don't
what
know what
Danny's
an
saying.
argument. I'm beginning to think that you don't know what an argument is. I'm beginning to think that you don't know what an argument is.
No, Danny, I'm beginning to think you have no idea what I'm saying. Are you going to give me a
I don't.
justification for your
It's a
belief
bunch
in
of
logic?
nonsense.
You can keep saying it's nonsense all you want. You're still not answering me.
Yeah, but you're wanting to run an argument, right? You're wanting to go from a set of premises to the fact that only, I guess, Eastern Orthodox Christianity can ground these transcendentals, right?
Yes.
But the premises of the premises of your argument, you haven't supported at all.
No, it's presupposed. Are you not understanding? I'm saying that it's a
Yeah, so if it's
presupposed.
presupposed,
Do you
there's no
wait,
reason for
Danny.
me
Do
to
you?
accept it.
Wait, Danny. You don't understand my worldview, do you? We believe that at a paradigmatic level, the paradigm, everything is circular. Okay, we're not going about these types of evidences. The evidence is comparing the paradigm to other paradigms. It's to see which paradigm can answer the questions of metaphysics, epistemology, and ethics. It's a comparison.
Yeah, but you're making a claim, right? You're making the claim that the contrary is impossible, that only Eastern Orthodox Christianity has the unique feature of explaining
Of
or
answering
justifying
everything
these-
coherently, yes.
Right. So now the question is, why would anyone accept that claim, right? You need to provide an argument for why anyone should accept that claim.
Oh, well, very easy. It's a very simple example. Because Eastern Orthodoxy gives the justification of the laws of logic, because simply we
That's
were
just
made in the
repeating
image of...
claim.
No, I'm not.
That's
I'm
just
giving an
repeating the
explanation.
claim.
Buddy, yeah, he's barking now. Because we were made in the image of God.
You know what an argument is.
Since we were made as rational beings in the image of God who is rational, therefore we have the laws of logic. That's our justification. What is your justification?
That's just another claim that you have to support. That's just another. First of all,
No, that is my justification for my paradigm, which I presuppose, which you also have presuppositions, but you don't have a justification for your presuppositions. Do you understand the problem?
I understand the problem that you have, that you just try to support.
Buddy, are you a sophist?
I think you would know because you constantly interrupt me, right? So
no, I think you're a sophist because you're intentionally being disingenuous because this is not that hard to understand.
Yeah, but if you're cutting me off and you don't understand what I'm saying,
because you're not answering the question, Danny. You're not answering the question. You keep going to, oh, you have this problem, and you're not answering my question. This is the 1,000,000th time I'm asking you. What is the justification for your presuppositions?
No, we've already moved on from this. I said, for the sake of argument, suppose I'm confused. Suppose I don't have a good answer to these questions. It doesn't follow.
Then you're being a sophist. Then you're being a sophist. Then this argument is disingenuous.
I don't know why. I just don't know why you're interrupting if you don't.
Then this
understand
argument
is
then
I
it's
don't know why you're interrupting. Yeah. Can you explain why?
Danny, you're being a sophist. You're simply saying, "Oh well, just suppose I don't have a good answer." That's sophistry. You're being disingenuous.
I don't know why I'm being muted, right? Okay, tell me when you're done so I can speak uninterrupted. Are you done so I can speak uninterrupted?
Are you going to actually answer for once?
I have answered.
He supposes his whole worldview, just bury him on that. It's literally so embarrassing.
Yeah, listen to this idiot. You people do not know what presuppose is. You don't know how this worldview works. So Danny, can you give me an argument?
The problem that Michael has right now is that I've granted him that I'm confused, that I don't have an answer to his questions. It doesn't follow, therefore, that he has
you don't have an answer?
That his argument is sound.
So wait, you don't have an answer. You have no justification for logic. You can see.
That's not what I said. Here, I'll repeat it so you can listen again. I'm granting that I don't have good answers to your questions. It doesn't follow from the fact that I don't know how to answer your questions to the fact that you have a sound argument or that you've supported the claim that the contrary is impossible. That's the problem.
That's by a comparison of paradigms, where we compare paradigms. That's the first part of the argument, where we compare paradigms and show that this one answers more clearly.
What I'm trying to show is that if my paradigm
but what I'm showing is, but here's the thing, the argument right here is comparing the Eastern Orthodox paradigm to the atheistic paradigm. And as we can see, my paradigm answers coherently on the questions of where the laws of logic reside from. You admitted just right now, you said you have no good answer.
That's not the only claim that your claim isn't...
Danny, can you listen? You're not listening.
Why you're scared of me? Why are you muting me?
Oh, I'm so scared, man. Because you keep barking and you're not listening.
You're over talking. Let me know when you're done so I can speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Danny, do you understand that this argument is a comparison of paradigms? My paradigm answers the question about where does the laws of logic reside? What is the justification for them? That is what we are doing. I have a justification. And you just conceded that you don't have any good answers to give me. That shows your paradigm is more incoherent than mine. This is the whole premise of the argument.
Okay, so let me respond. Here's the problem. His claim isn't simply that he can give a coherent response to these questions. He's saying that his view is the only one that can account for these transcendentals, and because the contrary is impossible. Now, it doesn't follow that if my paradigm and the way I account for these transcendentals fails, that therefore he succeeds in his claim that the contrary is impossible, and that's what Michael is failing to understand.
And what you're failing to understand, it's a comparison of paradigms. We compare it to everyone's paradigm that we're arguing.
Oh my gosh,
so if I can argue that my if I can argue that my paradigm is more coherent than yours, then it is completely logical to infer that my paradigm is more coherent.
Look, that's not simply the claim that you're making. You're making the claim that all other worldviews cannot account for these transcendentals, and you haven't even attempted to support that claim.
No, I have. I've shown that you cannot even support justification for the laws of logic.
You have to give me the argument for why all other paradigms, including the ones that are not mine, okay?
Well, Danny, bring an example then.
Because it's very simple, because they don't have a coherent answer. They don't have a coherent answer or justification for any of these questions that philosophy asks. They don't have a coherent answer.
Give an example of that. I'm not interrupting.
Okay, sure.
Just give an example.
The best example is what we're seeing right here, is that atheism doesn't have a justification for the laws of logic or any transcendental categories. That's the point.
That's what I want an argument for.
Yes, and I've shown that because you don't have justification. That's the whole point.
I think we should clarify
something. Have justification, it doesn't follow that if I don't have justification for those views, that therefore an atheist can't.
No, it shows therefore it's arbitrary. Do you understand that leads to it being arbitrary and ad hoc, right?
No, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know how you got that.
Yes, it does. Do you know what arbitrary means? It's believing in something without explanation.
Yeah, I don't think there's nothing that I said that warrants.
Are you admitting that your belief is arbitrary?
No. In fact, I'm doing quite. Look, let me repeat it for the third time since you're not getting it. I'm granting. Do you know what granting means, Michael?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm granting for sake of argument that I cannot account for these things. I can't account for these transcendentals. It doesn't follow from the fact that I don't know how to account for it, or I can't answer your questions, therefore that the claim that the contrary is impossible, that's suddenly substantiated. You have to substantiate for why only your view can account for these things.
Okay, and as I've explained, it's because of a comparison that one answers more coherently than the others.
Michael, can I try and bridge the gap here, right? Danny's actually right.
Wait, hold on. So I already explained that it's a comparison, right? It's a comparison of paradigms. Do you understand that?
That's not the transcendental argument, though.
Are you like just saying silly things?
Yes, it is the transcendental argument.
Okay, everyone stop talking. 1v1, it's going to end up into a barking match if we don't do it the otherwise, okay? If you have another point, wait for your turn. I keep on interrupting. I apologize for the people on the panel, but let's be respectful.
I will be respectful. It's fine.
So, Danny, do you understand that it's through a comparison of paradigms? It's to see how it answers coherently.
But you know how I responded to that. Do you remember?
What?
Well, look, I've said it 3 times. Please listen for the 4th time. If we compare the way I account for these transcendentals versus how you account for them, and suppose I fail, it doesn't follow that therefore all other that no other view other than your own can account for those questions. Because on your view, it's not just that atheism can't account for it, but there are varieties of theism that can't account for it. Because on your view, only Eastern Orthodox Christianity can account for such transcendentals, right? So it doesn't follow that if I can't account for it, that therefore your claim that the contrary is impossible is substantiated.
Okay, sure. And as I've explained, is that no other paradigm answers these questions coherently. I said this so many times. We can go through the problems of the other paradigms because most paradigms are built on empiricism. They build up from sense data and then go up. That's the whole problem with other paradigms. You understand?
I'm not so sure how that... first of all, I don't even know how to respond to that. Look, what does it have to do with what I said?
The fact that almost every single paradigm, well, most paradigms, are built on empiricism and they go up. It's built from sense data, then we go up. That's problematic and that's contradictory, that's circular, even though that paradigm doesn't allow for circularity. So the only paradigm which I'm suggesting, the way the Orthodox articulate it and speak about it, is the only one that answers these questions coherently.
But that's what remains to be seen. It seems like you're saying...
No, that's just making an argument about... No, that's just the gaps. You're just going to the... Well, maybe there's something that does. That doesn't logically follow.
From what you just said, you literally said something like this, that empiricism is a flawed view, therefore Eastern Orthodox Christianity is the only view that can account for these transcendentals. But that just doesn't follow.
Have you provided anything on the contrary?
No, I don't think you understand. I explained that most paradigms...
Well, on me providing a specific view.
I've explained that most paradigms have this problem for accounting for their logic because most paradigms are built on empiricism. And most paradigms do not give a coherent answer to all the questions.
Maybe it might help if I use your reasoning, right? So suppose I say that only atheism, specifically Danny atheism, not Amder atheism or any other, Danny's version of atheism, or Danny's worldview can account for transcendentals. You would be right to ask me, why is it that that's true? And then I would say, because any other view, it's impossible that those views could ground or explain, justify those transcendentals. You would be correct in asking for an argument for that. And if I just repeat it over and over and say that, well, let's look at your worldview and see if
so if we justify the transcendentals, that will give us an answer?
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the first part of the argument, that it's a comparison of paradigms.
But
that's the whole point. It's about which one can answer the questions most coherently.
Literally anything on the contrary. Provide to me a paradigm which is more plausible to the Eastern Orthodox one. Provide a paradigm. You're appealing to an absence. You're appealing to an absence of evidence. You're appealing at
axiom? Did someone just?
You're appealing to an absence of evidence. You're saying, what if there is a paradigm? Of evidence. You're saying, what if there is a paradigm that's more coherent?
Plausibility is not what's at.
Hold on.
Okay, so Danny, you're appealing to an absence of evidence. You're appealing to what-ifism. You're appealing that there might be a paradigm which is more suitable compared to Eastern Orthodoxy.
No, that's not what I'm trying to do. Here's what I'm trying to show.
That is. You're saying that...
No, let me repeat what I said very briefly. The point is that, yeah, if I'm saying only my worldview can account for it, it doesn't matter whether you actually provide an account or not.
Well, can you provide another paradigm which can account for these transcendentals?
Yeah, but the point is
It's
that
very
if you
simple.
fail to do that for whatever reason, it doesn't
No, because
follow.
it's very
Therefore,
reasonable
I'm
to
right
ask
saying
me,
that
no,
only my
because
view can account for it.
you're asking us to go to each paradigm and explaining why this is less logical than Eastern Orthodoxy. I'm asking you point to one paradigm, which is way more easier, out of the thousands of paradigms of different faiths or different branches of atheism, which are more plausible than Eastern Orthodoxy. It's way more reasonable for the burden of proof to be on you than it is on us, because we'd have to go and we'd be here for a long time.
Wait, we're forgetting what the claim is on the table. The claim,
is that Eastern Orthodoxy is more plausible and it can explain for these transcendentals. You're saying that, yeah, it's more coherent than everyone else's because they cannot explain these transcendentals. Correct?
Okay, wait. Hold on. We're not going to overtalk each other. That's not what.
There are now two claims, right? Michael's claim was that the contrary is impossible. What your claim is that your EO view is more plausible than my view.
No, I'm saying that they can't substantiate or explain these variables. They can't coherently.
That's what needs to be supported.
Yes, so like I said, the burden of proof is on you. Because you're telling me I must go through. Oh, hold on, Danny. You're making the claim that the burden of proof is on me to substantiate this claim. You're claiming on the contrary, it's your burden, because for me to prove this to be true, I have to go to each branch of atheism, each branch of every other faith, and say that Eastern Orthodoxy can explain for these transcendentals compared to everyone else. I'm saying point to one branch of religion, point to one branch of atheism. Argument will either shift or will concede. It's very simple.
Question. If I present,
it's very simple.
Question. If I present agnosticism and we show that agnosticism can't ground these transcendentals, does it follow from that the contrary is impossible?
No, because
you show that.
Okay, so let me just explain something. It's about a comparison of paradigms.
I'd like to
How we base our epistemic knowledge is based upon coherence. We don't base it upon empirical evidence or self-evident beliefs or what you would say axioms.
I didn't say anything about that.
I'm explaining why we see it to be true, because we base our epistemic knowledge on coherence. That's how we get to the most coherent truth.
Okay, so I think we're at a turning point here. We either continue this argument, which is incredibly circular, we won't get anywhere, or if there's any other points that Daniel and Michael want to bring up for this point, we can go into it, because this is beginning to turn into a fruitless argument where none of us.
Okay, well, look, I think I might.
Wait, hold on. Let's let's just bring up. Can we stop kicking Monkeyboy, bro? He hasn't even said nothing.
Okay, so
keep talking, man.
Yeah,
okay,
he'll be quiet. Yeah, he'll be quiet.
Okay, I'm not making a point at all. I'm just trying to moderate a bit more. So, Danny or Michael, do any of you want to bring up a point against or for atheism?
I already have.
We can go.
No, we've already brought that up. It's a fruitless argument. The people in the comments, the audience,
that's the devastating.
Hold on, Michael. The audience, hold on.
Okay, so that wait. That's hold on. That's the devastating blow to atheism.
Yeah, it is, and the audience Christians, we understand that we laugh at the wicked. No matter how many signs we give people, they refuse to believe. That's the belief that I uphold. So this, Danny, if this book, hold on. Establish a new debate, because this is becoming a fruitless debate. Okay.
But wait, can you answer my questions and then we'll move on? Is that okay?
It's Michael. It's not me. It's not becoming a 2v1.
Okay, well, I want to ask you really fast, and then we'll move on. If I attempt to justify these transcendentals and I fail, does it follow that therefore atheism can't account for it?
Well, if you could point to me a branch of atheism which could more plausibly or coherently explain it towards the Eastern Orthodox paradigm, sure. But you can't.
No, that's not the question I'm asking. The question is, if I fail tonight in giving a account of these transcendentals,
depends what you do for afterwards.
That therefore atheism can't account.
Danny, you would concede that there's different branches of atheism. You described it as Danny's atheism, correct? So it's a atheism branch specialized to your beliefs, right?
So that's my.
So if you fail, hold on, Danny.
Wait, one second. The point is that if I can't account for it,
my point.
The point is that if I can't account for it, it doesn't follow that atheism can't account for it.
I just said, not even like 7 minutes
ago.
Okay,
I'm sorry, my bad.
I said we're not over talking.
Okay.
Can I jump in real quick? Danny, did you hear me say that?
Yeah, so just quickly, Danny.
Completely. I was answering yes or no. Okay, wait, hold on. I want to make this clear. Does all of you, is it clear? I don't want anyone over talking each other.
He thinks he's the main character.
Yes, can we propose 3 strikes and you're out? Yeah. 3 strikes and you're out. I agree to that. If you interrupt 3 times, you're out.
No, this isn't baseball.
I don't care. Okay, so Danny, I've established that there's different branches of atheism. Now your question would really be dependent on what you do. If you could highlight a branch of atheism which could explain these transcendentals, then sure, it's on the blow to atheism. But if you continually use your heretical ideas and continue to use your wrong ideas, and cannot identify a branch of atheism which cannot coherently explain these transcendentals, yes, that would be a blow to atheism. It shows that it's inferior to Eastern Orthodoxy.
It's just a strict non sequitur, right? The point is that
no,
if
I'm saying that your question is dependent on.
Is that a strike? Is that a strike?
Yeah, my bad.
No, I'm just messing with you. I don't care too much. Look, I just want to get my point out. The point is that if it doesn't follow that if I failed to give an account, that therefore atheism can't give an account, right? Because the claim is that atheism has a problem. It can't ground these transcendentals. And then what you're doing is saying, well, the reason why that's true is because you can't do it. But it doesn't follow that if you can't do it, therefore there's a problem with atheism. I'm almost done. It's like if I say Christians can't account for morality, and if I grill a Christian about their metaethics and they fail, and then I declare victory and say Christianity can't ground morality, that would be very stupid of me. And I think that there's a version of that that's happening right here.
Danny, it's about consensus.
No, we're making a claim that atheism as a whole can account for this.
Yeah, well, it's a consensus. We keep on arguing this, and other Christian scholars argue for this. And atheism can't really account for these questions. So I'm not saying you, I'm not going to grill you. Danny, I'm not going to go to a random bum on the street and say he's an atheist, he can't answer my question, that's atheism over. It's a consensus. So can we move on, because this is just not going to go in your favor?
Okay. The whole point is that atheism, the whole argument is the way atheism is structured. However, it doesn't matter which worldview of atheism you go to, materialism, empiricism, it doesn't really matter. Whichever atheistic worldview you go to, the way they're all structured, they ultimately do not account for knowledge.
Okay, so
let me give you an example of one that does.
Let me
hold on.
give you
an example of one.
Like two Christians, since there's like two Christians and like one atheist, can monkeyboy like join in for like like arguments sake?
Sure.
Well, let me give a quick account. So here's an atheist account. So there are some atheists that think that there are propositions that exist timelessly and spacelessly, and they're sort of kind of in this other plane, this third realm, as Frege put it. And those abstract objects ground the statements about logic. Now, I don't see. Do you see any incoherence there?
Yes. How does that ground it?
The idea is that there's a statement that A is A, and the truth maker of that is the proposition that A is A.
Sure. So how does it ground it?
I just told you.
That's circular. How does it prove it?
The point is that on the Platonist view, right? The proposition A is a necessary abstract object. It's necessary.
I understand that, but that's also presupposing Platonism.
I'm almost done. The necessity of the proposition explains why those statements are always true.
That is circular reasoning. That's also presupposing Platonism. It goes back to the exact same problem.
Yeah, what's incoherent about it?
It's circular, which that view doesn't allow for. You understand?
It's not even an argument, right? Like it's an explanation.
No, that doesn't work. I'm saying that paradigm is incoherent. It's circular. It doesn't allow for...
Can you derive a contradiction?
Yes, you have a contradiction right there. The Platonist view doesn't allow for this type of circularity. Why are you presupposing Platonism?
I don't think you know what a contradiction is.
No, this is a contradiction.
See what I mean? Comparing paradigms has just become... Hold on. Comparing paradigms is just going to be useless. Danny, can you concede that this is...
How can we even have this conversation?
A contradiction is two things in opposition to each other. What are you talking about? Things are opposition to each other.
No, that is not a contradiction.
Can I get like a moment to speak?
Nice try.
Wait, hold on. Let monkeyboy speak.
These things are in opposition to each other. Are you joking?
That is not a contradiction.
Hold on. So what Danny's trying to say
China
is you guys...
opposed to the United... Look, China's opposed to the United States. Is there a contradiction? Oh my gosh. Opposed to the United States. Is there a contradiction? Oh my gosh.
No, and in terms of an internal critique of a worldview, yes, that's a contradiction if they're opposed.
Okay, yeah, that's stupid.
Because capitalism and communism... Wait, hold on. Capitalism and communism are opposed.
This guy's an idiot. This guy's an actual idiot. I can't have this, man.
No, add him back up, man.
No, wait.
What do you mean add him back up? He's an idiot.
Just bring him back up. Wait, we can...
Hold on. Actually, because like I'm kind of like instigating this right quick. I actually want Danny to touch up on the topic on the Trinity.
Yeah, bring Danny back up.
Yeah, in monkeyboy.
Yeah,
bring him back
Danny's
up.
Guys, look at Danny's little fans in the comments.
Okay, Danny, fruitless.
If you want to talk about something else, I'm open.
Yeah, I'm not gonna...
Okay, hold on. Let's establish what we want to talk about.
Okay, sure. Complete right wing, you can take it because this is so...
Okay, so Danny, what do you want to talk about?
completely.
But I never even got a chance to speak on the subject.
Rabbi, do you want me and you want to go? Okay, Monkey Boy and Danny, discuss what you want to talk about. Me and Rabbi will discuss what we want to talk about. Very simple.
No. It's going to be you and Michael.
I'm fine. Maybe Monkey Boy has a different way of presenting everything, so I'll
No,
just
we're gonna
listen
pick
to
something
you.
else because this is just gonna get us nowhere. Okay.
Wait, hold
Pick
on.
something
No, wait.
else.
Can I speak?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So like, hold on, because I see Danny a lot. He thinks that if I'm not mistaken, Danny, I don't want to do a false stillman on your position. I think that you think that the Trinity is like illogical. It's incoherent.
Correct.
Okay. And so Monkey Boy, would you agree with that premise?
I'm not sure.
Do you understand what the Trinity is? Do you want to set the premise of what Eastern Orthodoxy believe it to be?
No, I'm just agnostic as to whether it's illogical.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so Danny, Monkey, and
Michael, you want to go in with the Trinity with me, or do
Yeah,
you want
I
me to
just-
take it by myself?
But I just
sure.
had some
What-
points
what-
to say on the precept part.
Okay, well,
Sure.
what you got issues about the presupposition, and then we'll just
Okay,
move on to
well,
Trinity.
Danny was trying to illuminate how you guys are making the conditional statement that for all X, if X is atheist, then X can't account for transcendentals, right? And then presumably you want to do like some type of like predicate modus ponens where X is atheist, like just satisfy the conditional. But you kept shifting the variable to a constant, saying that if Danny's atheist, then atheists can. That doesn't like follow.
No, Monkey, I said it was a consensus.
That's
if I
what we
find that
did.
a majority
We're
of
straw
atheists can't... Hold on, Monkey Boy. If I can find that a majority of atheists can't answer the transcendental argument
Man, I've already
using
said
their
this.
branch,
I've already
it's
said
a
this.
consensus that it doesn't work.
I've already
Atheism
said
does not
this.
work.
It's so simple. The way atheistic worldviews are structured, they can't answer this question. You're trying to build a straw man on,
Monkey, we're not saying if I
Danny
pull
can answer, therefore no other atheist can answer. That's not
Monkey,
the argument, man. Stop
I'm not
straw man.
saying I go up to a bum who's an atheist, he can't barely speak any English, that means atheism is dumb. I'm saying if there's a consensus, if you're...
Buddy, stop yapping. You're going on a tangent, man.
Okay, no, I'm saying if atheism cannot answer for the question, it means it's not designed for it.
Buddy's yapping again.
Okay, but also something I want to clarify
Kick you back to Mecca, man. Okay,
is
so
when you say how do you justify the laws of logic, I don't take it that analytic propositions are justificatory.
And how does that negate my point?
Wait, do you take it that analytic propositions are justificatory?
I'm asking how does that negate my point?
Yeah, I'm
That you
trying to
need
like
some
explain.
form of justification
Okay, well,
for incorporeal things.
Yes, so the laws of logic are true adherently to classical logic, right? Because the laws of logic, again, logic's not like a doctrine of metaphysics. So it's not describing reality. It's a linguistic schema formalized
You don't
to
think
represent
logic
reasoning.
has a real metaphysical existence?
I'm not a realist about it, but logic isn't a doctrine of metaphysics, even if you're a realist about logic.
But I'm asking, so you don't believe that logic exists that has a real metaphysical existence?
No.
No, it doesn't?
No.
Well, that would lead into absurdity. If we weren't have a
most
real...
logicians are like this.
Yeah, sure.
Most are fictionalists.
If you're saying logic doesn't have a real metaphysical existence, this would lead into absurdity. This would lead to pure, whatever worldview you have, maybe empiricism. If you're in empiricism and you don't believe that logic has a real metaphysical existence, then this would lead to absurdity. How does your worldview function without a real metaphysical logic?
Wait, what's the absurdity there?
Without logic, your worldview would lead into absurdity. Without a real
I'm asking, what
metaphysical
is the-
existence of an objective.
Yeah, what is the absurdity that it leads to?
Well, in your worldview, if logic doesn't exist, therefore it's not objective. This would lead into absurdity. We can't argue for anything.
All you're
Everything is
saying
just purely
there...
subjective.
Wait, what? All you're saying is that if you're not a realist about logic, you're not a realist about logic. So is the reductio just reasserting the proposition I'm like describing from the outset? How's the view the
No,
reductio?
my argument is that if this doesn't have a real metaphysical existence, then it would be subjective, right?
Yeah.
Then your worldview, then we would all lead into absurdity. Then logic by itself is just subjective, and we don't have actual objective logic.
Wait, but what is the
That's-
absurdity?
The absurdity is we don't have actual logic and justification for science or most of the ways we view the world. We presuppose logic when we're even doing science. So
Wait,
if
so-
this is not even objective, this leads into absurdity in your worldview.
Can I clarify? Are you saying the absurdity is not holding the like antithetical view? That's the absurdity?
The absurdity is if you say this doesn't have a real metaphysical existence and it's subjective, if logic is subjective, then we don't have any logical objective truths, and most things fall apart.
Okay, but that's just, you're just saying that the absurdity is not holding realism, right? That's all you're saying.
No, that leads into absurdity.
No, yeah, but I don't, okay.
Following
but that's not
what
even
you
what a
said
reductio
leads
is.
into absurdity.
A reductio,
Following what you said leads
wait,
in,
but okay,
following
but
what
a
you said leads into
reductio,
absurdity.
a reductio is supposed to be a type of inference in which the conclusion is supposed to be like acknowledged by the interlocutor as repulsive, right? But you know, expressing a view from the outset and then saying the reductio is the fact you don't hold the opposite view, which is like very like transparent to me. There's like no actual reductio. You're just reasserting that the reductio is not holding the opposite view. That's like, okay.
No, that's not my point. I'm saying, how do you account for any logical statements? Or if you don't even hold to logical entities, how do you account for anything in the real world?
Wait, what do you mean by account for logic there?
Yes, how do you account for even making an argument or a justification? How do you justify that?
How do I justify, like, wait, what is the proposition you're asking to justify?
Yeah, for like example, when you're making, like right now you're making an argument. If logic is subjective, what is the whole point of this?
Wait, but
this leads
making,
into absurdity, that's my point.
but making an argument's an action, so it's not cognitive, right? It's not propositional. Making an argument isn't a proposition.
When you make a logical argument, when you try to make a logical argument, how do you justify this in the real world? That's my question. This leads into absurdity.
I'm not, I don't think I'm understanding your question.
Okay, so when you're saying that logic doesn't have metaphysical existence, right, and it's just purely subjective.
Wait, why do you keep saying metaphysical existence? Just say existence.
That's why I asked you earlier. You said no. You said it's subjective.
But
so then, how do you account for any real? How do you account for any real truths in the world?
Okay, well, I was just saying that like metaphysical is like obsolete there. It's like redundant. But how do I account for worldly facts, like facts about the external world? Yeah, so that's just gonna hinge on my like thesis of like truth, right? The theory of truth I'm using, and then just the system of logic in tandem.
And what is the theory of truth you're using?
So you're just asking about my particular view?
Yeah.
My view, I'm a deflationist about truth.
So what do you believe about truth, exactly?
So truth isn't a metaphysical predicate. It's a linguistic predicate. It's a redundant
so you don't
predicate.
believe that truth... So you don't believe that there's actual objective truths?
I don't know what it means to say truth is objective.
Like, is there actual objective truths that are objectively true?
Are there mind-independent truths? Yeah, I mean, at least presumably, I would like to believe.
You would like to believe, so you presuppose it.
Yeah, I just said presumably.
Interesting. That's a weird, but that doesn't make any. That doesn't account for any truth. So if all truths are subjective, and in that sense, they're not even objective in that sense, you can't really account for anything.
But
that just falls in on itself.
Yeah, no, you can account for subjective truths. If all truths are subjective,
in the logic schema, for anything objective.
Hold on, I'm not done talking. If all truths are subjective and the logic schema can only like justify subjective propositions, then you actually like can justify the ubiquitous set of propositions like the aggregate.
Okay, now my problem is with how you justify. Yeah, sure. I understand that you can account for subjective truths, but if you don't have any objective truths, then you're leading in a very subjective world where I'm telling you that's leading into absurdity.
Okay, wait, but I mean, I would just suspect, I'm not sure, right? But I'm just going to suspect you don't like have like an argument against like subjective idealism, for example.
No, my argument is that it leads into absurdity, that you can't have any actual objective truths.
Wait, but,
okay, but
when you say absurdity, like reductios are inferential, where the conclusion is not just like the same proposition from the outset. It's like an unbeknownst corollary that lies underneath or undergirthing the initial view, such that it's supposed to repulse the interlocutor, right? But that's not a reductio, right? That's not an absurdity, right? You're not making an argument of for absurdity, right? You're just saying my view's absurd, right? You're just saying the view's absurd because it's false. But that
I'm saying it's absurd because you can't. No, I'm saying it's absurd because you can't account for anything.
Wait, okay.
Everything is just subjective and presuppositional. That leads into absurdity.
When you say I can't account for anything, is the modal scope like logical there?
Yes, in that sense.
Oh, so what's like the argument I can't account for anything?
Yeah, you can't account for anything that's objective. You only adhere to subjective truths.
Yeah,
so
sure.
there's no
What's the
objectivity.
argument?
The argument
Yeah.
is the argument is that leads into absurdity. You can't actually know anything. That's my
No,
point.
look, I'm asking what's the argument and the conclusion of the argument being I can't account for anything objective. What's the argument for that?
Because as you said, you don't hold to actual existing objective things having real metaphysical existence. So you can't really account for anything in your worldview.
Wait, but that's not establishing that. There's no argument there. You're just reasserting I can't account for any objective truths. That's exactly what I'm asking, like, for like the deductive inference for.
Because you don't have real metaphysical existence for logic. You just have subjective logic, leading you to subjective truths. This doesn't really lead you to anywhere.
Oh, okay. So I guess the conditional you're making is if your logic is subjective, then you can't account for objective truths. Your logic's subjective, therefore you can't account for objective truths. Is that it?
You can't account for anything objective.
Okay, but what's the argument for the conditional?
Because that leads into absurdism. If we can't account for anything or know anything objectively, this would not account for an entire world.
No,
everything would simply fall apart.
I'm not asking for a reductio. I'm asking, like, what's the argument in light of P1 of the inference, right? What's the argument for the conditional statement there? Saying that it's absurd that's not a justifier for your initial premise of the argument, right? Your argument was if your logic's subjective, then you can't account for objective truth, right? That's the first premise. I'm asking what's the argument for that?
Because if you have subjective logic, then you wouldn't come to have any objective truths. Because if your logic is just
wait, what is premise one of the argument?
That your logic is subjective and that doesn't lead to any objective truths.
But that's begging. That's just clearly question begging.
No, it's not, because it's very, very simple that how can you lead to any objective truths with having subjective logic?
But now that's an inquiry and not an inference. I want to know what's the argument for the conditional statement.
I'm telling you, how do you account for objective truths? As you said, you don't. How do you account for your worldview if you don't have anything objective?
Okay, but what's the argument for the conditional? You're just asking a question. You're supposed to be justifying your argument.
Yes, I'm asking if your logic is subjective, how do you account for anything?
Okay, so what's the argument that if your logic's subjective, you can't account for objective truth?
Yes.
Yes, that's the claim. I'm asking, like, what's the justifier for the claim?
I'm asking, how do you lead to any objective?
I understand you're asking me that question, but you made a claim, right? And now I'm pinning you on the argument for the claim.
Yes, and I'm saying, as you said, logic is subjective. I'm saying, how do you lead to any objective conclusions?
But that's incredulity.
He's not going to answer me, is he?
Okay, look, you're supposed to be defending your argument, right? And you're asking a question that's non-clarificatory. You're asking me to illuminate how I can account for objective truth, given I'm a subjectivist about logic, right? My theory of the logos is subjectivism. But that doesn't actually matter to your conditional statement, right? In order to actually be epistemically warranted in the belief, you would actually have to present a stage 2 argument, right? An inference in light of P1 of the initial argument. And you're just failing to do that, right? And you just keep asking me a question that's not pertinent to you presenting your case.
Okay, because as I've said, if you have subjective logic, you cannot lead to actual objective truths. Why? Because you don't have objective logic to objectively conclude things. This is only subjective, right? Everything is subjective in this view.
But you understand when you say the reason you can't account for objective truths is because your logic's subjective. It's just you're just asserting the contrapositive, right? You're just saying if your logic's subjective, then you can account for objective truths. That's what your explanation was. It was the contrapositive. So that's just regurgitating the claim and not actually presenting the argument.
Yeah. So subjectivity being relative, then it is an objective. My whole point is that you can logically conclude anything, even your worldview.
Wait, okay. Do you take it there's a contradiction in the expression, I'm a logical subjectivist and I could come to objective truth?
In that sense, no.
Okay, so it is logically possible as a subjectivist you can come to objective truth.
Not in that sense, no. If you're saying in that sense that there is objective truth, are you saying that there is objective truth?
No, look, okay, I'm just asking you to clarify. Is what you're saying...
But wait, is there objective truth?
I'm not sure, right? But that doesn't matter to your claim. My view about whether...
That doesn't matter to my claim?
Yes, my view about, like, the external world isn't relevant to your claim. Of course not.
No, of course it is, because I'm claiming that your worldview leads into absurdity.
No, but my view doesn't integrate with your claim. Your claim is that if there's an external world and you're a subjectivist, then you can't account for the external world. That's your claim. Now you're asking me if I believe there's an external world, which is irrelevant to whether or not the conditional is true, right? I could be wrong, right? Let's say I don't believe there's an external world. It can be true. There's an external world, and it's the conditional claim. If you're a subjectivist, then you can account for the external world is still not justified, right? So I want to know: you said initially there's no contradiction. Then you said, well, in saying that there is. Now I'm not. Now I'm just like, now it's opaque, right? So I just want to, get it back on track. Do you think there's a contradiction in saying I'm a subjectivist about logic and I can account for the external world?
It depends if you believe there is objective truth. If you don't, then yes, that would be a contradiction.
Okay, yeah, we're just stipulating in a scenario that there is, like, worldly facts.
Yeah, that's my point, that it does lead into absurdism. You can't even logically conclude that the external world exists.
But I didn't ask
doesn't function.
But that's
this doesn't function in your daily life of argumentation.
But I didn't ask about absurdism. I asked if it entails a contradiction.
Yes, in that sense, yes. If you don't believe there's objective truth.
Okay, yeah, fine. So what's the contradiction?
If you don't believe there's objective truth, then how can you, as a subjective, if you believe in subjective truths, come to an objective truth?
Wait, but you keep indexing the proposition to like a doxo, right? Wait, what I'm trying to get is just, well, to be clear, what you gave wasn't even a contradiction.
What do you mean? How can you come to an objective truth if you don't believe objective truths exist in your worldview?
Wait, but you understand that's a question, not the contradiction. Asking a look.
How do you come to an objective truth when you have a subjective worldview?
It's like if I said having a dog and having a cat is a contradiction, and then you ask me what's the contradiction.
No, it's not at all like that.
How can you have a cat and a dog?
How you're not understanding. You can't come to an objective truth if you have a subjective worldview.
Yeah, but when you say you can't, that's just going to be the clause for the modal expression, right? And when I ask you about the modality, it's logical, which just means you're saying there's a contradiction when you say that. So when I ask what's the contradiction, you just reassert the modal claim, right? You're not okay. So what is the P and not P in the scenario?
It's very simple, because if your paradigm doesn't allow for objective truths and you claim to come to objective truth, that would be a problem.
Okay, but that's not a P and not P. A contradiction is P in conjunction with not P. So what's the P and not P there?
The contradictions are two propositions in contrast with each other, in opposition.
A contradiction in formal logic is when a proposition is conjoined with its negation in the same respect. So if I said I exist and I don't exist in the same instance of time, that's a contradiction, right? So now I'm asking you, what's the contradiction in the view?
This is referring to a contradiction in a situation where two propositions are in opposition to each other.
Okay, I'm telling you what I mean by a contradiction, just as it is in logic.
And I'm telling you what I mean by this contradiction. And but there's obviously different senses. This is a contradiction in the sense of...
But to be clear, you're making a modal claim. So in respect to modal logic, when you say there's a contradiction, what modal logic means is that there's a P and not P in conjunction. Right? So in order to satisfy it's logically impossible, right? Because that's a modal claim. In order to satisfy it's logically impossible, you would have to present the logical contradiction.
Yeah, it's very simple. You assert that there is only subjective truth, so there cannot not be any objective truth.
Wait, but okay, was that a P and not P?
You could take it as that if you want.
Okay, no, sure. It wasn't. Okay, so let me just ask you, since I'll try and help you out. Just say P, just name a proposition and I'll conjoin it with its negation, because it seems you're incapable of doing that.
Subjective truth.
Okay, so nowhere in the conditional, if you're a subjectivist, then you can obtain worldly facts. Nowhere there does it actually
wait, where's the conjunction?
That you're a subjectivist and you're not a subjectivist.
Where's the conjunction to subjective truth?
Sorry,
where's the conjunction you said you would add on to the subjective truth?
Yeah, the not subjective truth, which just means realism. And I just said in the conditional statement, if you're a subjectivist,
that's
you can come...
That's truth. That's the point.
What do you mean? What is
the contrary or the not of P1? What's the contrary?
But you're saying that coming to worldly facts as a subjectivist entails a contradiction. And the contradiction you gave is that you're a subjectivist and you're not a subjectivist. But where is it derived from being a subjectivist and, obtaining worldly facts that you're a realist about logic?
My point is that you don't believe in actual...
But now you're just dodging.
How am I dodging? My point is...
Okay, so how are you deriving that?
It's not letting me talk. My point is that if you have a subjective worldview and accounting for anything real or being objective, that is a contradiction in your paradigm.
I know
That's
you.
in conjunction.
Oh my God! Yeah, you said this like 20 times. That's fine. Look, you said it several times. Like 20 times. That's fine. Look, you said it several times.
This guy's not responding, man. My goodness.
Michael, honestly, I just don't think you understood what he was trying to say.
What was he trying to say?
There's definitely a disconnect there. I think what you want to say is that he's saying in his worldview, or what's entailed by his worldview, that like things like an apple being on the table isn't like an objective truth or something like that. Is that what you're saying? Well, no, that's not what he's saying at all. Oh, here he can explain himself.
Okay.
He can explain himself.
Okay.
Why did you disconnect though?
No, man, he doesn't answer any questions. You want me to go over this again?
Hey, Christos, do you want to handle this? Do you get what
he's getting kicked? So what I think he's saying, I think.
Hold on. Super. Christos, you there?
Oh yeah, I'm here. What's up?
You want to tackle this lady?
Who?
But the woman who was talking.
Wait, who?
Bro, I'm like 5'11", 220.
Yeah. So what he was saying is that
oh my god, the one with subjective.
I understand what you're saying, that he's not sure if there's any objective truths. What are you guys saying? I wasn't understanding what he was saying. He was saying that
Christos.
Okay, I'll talk now, I guess. So what I think he's trying to say.
Handle the subjective.
I'm gonna leave for this so completely. Do you have like a panel, like a live panel? Because I'm gonna leave.
No, I don't have access to that.
Wait, let Monkey Boy up again. Maybe he can explain, because I'm like just isn't understanding what Monkey Boy trying to say.
Okay, someone has it. Okay.
Okay, so
Christos,
walk back the
Michael,
dialectic.
you want to handle it?
Yeah, look, to give a quick analysis of the dialectic, what happened was he made the claim that, or he initially asked from the outset, how do you account for logic? And then I said that when you say account for logic, you just mean justify logic. But logic's analytic, so it's non-justificatory. And he's like, wait, but how is it analytic if it exists? Then I said, I'm not a realist about logic, I'm a subjectivist. Then he said, well, if you're a subjectivist, then you can't know things about the external world, or you can't know objective facts. And I said, so you're making this conditional statement that if you're a subjectivist about the logos, then you can't know like worldly facts. And I said, what's the argument for the conditional? Then he said, because if you're an objectivist, then you can account for worldly facts, which just reasserts the contrapositive.
You can't use subjective logic to obtain objective facts.
Yeah, that's the claim. Now, what's the argument?
Okay.
The subjectivity can obtain objective fact.
Look, there's there's obviously a huge disconnect between
very clearly
what you're saying and what
then.
they're understanding here.
Look,
why don't
when
you
say,
break it down and explain?
Okay, but I just want to clarify. You're making the claim, or the claim on the table is that if you're a subjectivist, then you can't account for worldly facts. Then I said, okay, what's the argument? And you gave me not an argument, but an explanation, and the explanation was reasserting. You said the reason why you can't account for worldly facts if you're a subjectivist is because subjective logic can't come to worldly facts. That's reasserting the goddamn same claim. Now, without question begging and not offering an explanation that's circular, right? I want an argument. What is the argument that satisfies the modal claim?
Okay.
Good.
That would, yeah. All right,
Go on,
Theo, don't interrupt.
It's subjective, right? When you're saying that it's subjective, wouldn't that just be based upon like your own brain, right?
Subjectivism has nothing to do with the brain.
All right, then define
subjectivity comes from your
subjective just means that it's impartial or it's indexed to an agent.
Yeah, but subjectivity is conformed to you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so subjective would be like grounded in your brain versus objective would be like external.
It's not grounded in your brain. It's not in your brain.
Wait, are you saying? So are you saying that
if you're a subjectivist, all you're saying is that logic is some conceptual tool used for like some rational schema that's conceptual. It's not grounded in your brain.
I'm asking if logic, in your opinion, is grounded to the consciousness of an agent.
Are you just asking if it's subjective?
Why don't they just tell you?
I don't understand
what's unclear. Just let them tell you what they think logic is.
I want to speak to like one person at a time, and one person can talk. So
okay, look, ask a question. Do you think there's a contradiction?
If Cristo wants to interact with Monkey Boy, he can. If I want to interact, then I can. I don't want like.
Oh, by the way, Michael, you there?
People jumping in like while I'm speaking, because then it's just like a mess.
Okay, right? But the proposition on the table is that there's a contradiction in being a subjectivist about logic and knowing worldly facts. Do you take that view?
Monkey Boy, I don't think they understand what your view is. Maybe you should explain to them.
Could you drop Tupac? I don't need people talking through me while I'm speaking. I want to talk to one person at a time. Thank you. All right. So Monkey Boy, you're saying it's subjective. When you say it's subjective, you mean that it's grounded in your brain? Like what do you mean?
No, it just means that logic's not an object. I don't think logic's an object. Logic is very clearly, if you just study anything about logic, logic's a language. It makes no sense to treat logic as an object, because what an object is something that exists in the world. Now, I don't take it that logic is an object, it's a language. That's like saying, does English exist? English isn't an object. Cats might exist, rocks might exist. English doesn't exist.
All right, so it's a language. You said logic is a language. Where is the source of that language? Where does it come from?
Human. I don't know what you're asking. But look, I don't know what the questions are about, right? Right now, what we're dealing with is if there's a contradiction.
Logic.
But to be clear, I don't want to pivot the point.
You're saying that.
Wait, ask a Christian. Let's not pivot away from the point. I just want to wait before we move to these lines. Why are you over talking me? Look, before we move, ask a Christian. Yeah, before we move on to this point. Oh, so you don't know what? Wait, what do you need clarification on?
So you said that logic.
Wait, so then why are you even stepping foot? Look, they're the ones making the claim. Wait, hold on. Ask a Christian.
The thing is,
no. Hold on. No, ask a Christian. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Stop talking. Shut up. Look, the point is they're making the claim that if you're a subjectivist about logic, if you're a subjective, I don't know you're over talking me. I heard you. Great, I heard you.
You got a bit mad.
Okay,
relax, bro.
if you're a subjectivist about logic, then you can account for worldly facts. So they're the ones making the claim. So they should already know the words they're using. Now you're just coming in trying to clarify, claims they're making that you don't understand. If you don't understand the claim or what's being made, ask them.
No, he doesn't understand.
Independent
your
of that, you don't have to
viewpoint.
jump in to clarify.
It's your oh my goodness. He's not understanding your worldview.
We're not talking about my world. We're not talking about my worldview.
So you do realize that.
Wait, we're not talking about worldviews.
We believe that.
We're not talking about worldviews.
I'm just saying that we believe they have a real transcendental category. They actually exist in a metaphysical reality. And we're saying without that, what I was trying to say the entire time, without this actual category of them existing independent of humans, you would have subjectivity. You wouldn't actually lead to any objective truths because you're not accepting the actual transcendental category. This is purely subjective, and I'm talking about your worldview. In your worldview, this is where this leads to.
Yeah, so
but that's reasserting the claim. Okay, wait, hold on, because now you guys keep constantly derailing.
I was clarifying Monkey's nonsense worldview.
Right? No. We're not even talking. Wait, ask a Christian.
1 second. You
wait. No, ask a Christian. I don't know why you're over talking me. I'm just going to continue to over talk you because I don't know why you're over talking me.
I can over talk you too as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So essentially,
I just want to know what's the answer to the question. What is the contradiction?
Christian, oh my
goodness. I don't. Can we kick him? He just came to overtalk.
Can you mute Monkey Boy while I talk?
No, can you kick him?
Mute Monkey Boy.
Okay, hold on. So wait, can I ask you? So let's. Okay, you want? Let's clear this up.
Ask a Christian. Okay, wait.
Let's clear this up. Let's clear this up. Monkey Boy, am I correct in assuming? Wait, am I correct in assuming in your worldview you believe that where do you believe all knowledge comes from?
Are you asking for my theory of knowledge acquisition?
Yeah, where does knowledge come from?
I don't know what the language there about, like, where does knowledge come from?
Are you empiricist? Do you believe knowledge only comes from the senses, or what?
I'm a logical positivist.
Yeah, so what do you believe about where it comes from?
So I think we can come to knowledge either through empirical projects or through conceptual analysis.
So you believe knowledge exists outside of the person can come to it? Or do you believe that it's something dependent on the person?
That's not, but that's now you're just talking about something different. That has nothing to do with knowledge acquisition.
Well, no, because if your logic is...
I just want to clarify to ask a Christian. We're not even talking about worldviews at all. We're talking about a conditional statement, a particular conditional statement.
Inquiring about what you believe in, that's totally fine. But we're saying that...
Okay, I'm a logical positivist, but none of these questions... None of these questions
okay, so I'm answering why this
is
to the hold on, Monkey.
Okay, look,
Monkey,
I'm gonna just stop talking. I'm gonna wait until someone presents the contradiction.
No, Monkey, we're asking. Okay, so you said that logic is subjective, right? So that's entirely dependent on your perception of knowledge.
Yeah, I'll just wait for the answer.
Yeah,
well, we need to pertain your entire worldview to actually answer.
Unless you're unless you're clarifying what's being said in the expression.
Wait.
Even
do you not think clarification requires a broader understanding?
Do you know clarificatory questions are questions that inform the interlocutor about the
hold
semantics?
on, ask a Christian. Can you be quiet for a second?
Your worldview isn't semantical.
I could just leave.
Yeah, preferably. You can come back and ask a question if you prefer.
When you ask questions about your worldview, you're not asking questions about what you mean by terms. So those aren't clarificatory. Those are questions about my like.
It's not towards the terms we're using. It's towards your worldview.
Yeah, so that's not a clarificatory question.
That is in terms of your worldview.
No, clarificatory questions are questions about semantic content.
Yeah, and
you're not asking me definitions.
In terms of your worldview.
No, but asking me what's your theory of knowledge acquisition
hold on,
isn't a semantical question.
Monkey. You said that logic is subjective, correct?
I said, oh my god, look, okay. Does anyone here have a contradiction in the expression? If you're a subjectivist,
and I need
then you can account for. Okay, great. What's the contradiction? What's the contradiction?
Yes, I've been pointing this out the entire time.
Oh,
the
so
argument
what is it? Yeah, what is it?
The argument is based on your premises, based on these premises by you, that logic is subjective, that we cannot come to any objective truths based on your worldview, that knowledge is somehow reached in some manner. This leads into absurdity. These are premises that support the conclusion. The conclusion is it leads into absurdity.
And by absurdity, do you just mean you disagree with the proposition, or do you
just
mean
complete
something
chaos? It leads into complete chaos.
And by chaos there, do you just mean you disagree with the proposition?
No, I mean your worldview has no coherence.
So when you say it's incoherent, which just means that's logically impossible, I'm just going to ask again, what's the contradiction in being a subjectivist about logos and coming to worldly facts?
Sure. You believe in subjective logic, meaning you don't believe there's objective logic to derive objective things from. You can't get objectivity from subjectivity. That doesn't work.
Okay, so then what's the contradiction?
Right? What I just said.
You just said, no, you made the claim if your theory of logic is subjective, then you can't come to logical truth, objective truth. No, that's not an argument. That was not a set of premises.
Yes, it is. Conclusion. Yes, it is.
Okay, what was the
argument? Yes, it is
argument?
a set of premises.
Okay,
the argument again, the premises is that subjectivity, you cannot derive objectivity from subjectivity. You cannot do that. That doesn't work. That leads into chaos in your worldview.
What's premise 2?
Okay, so premise 1.
The conclusion is supposed to be this conditional. So that is reasserting the claim. Okay, what's the premises with the conclusion not being the conditional and the conclusion being the conditional, not the premises? So the conditional statement is you can't come to objective truths from subjective logic.
Okay, because you can't subtract objectivity from subjectivity. Okay, you can't object any truths. You have to presuppose all these claims you're making. This leads to complete chaos because your worldview doesn't even allow for circularity.
So you're saying, so is the reason there being, the reason you can't derive objective truth from subjective logic because you can't derive objective facts from subjective?
Yeah.
Okay, so nowhere there are you actually deriving it from subjective facts. Logic's not a proposition.
You're presupposing that. Can you get to the statement that this doesn't work? How do you?
Logic's a noun, right? That's like saying rock is true. Rock is a noun. There's a difference between saying logic exists and logic. Logic is not bivalent. Logic is a noun. It's a linguistic noun. Nouns are not propositions.
Yeah, but you do realize we have a different view on it, that it actually has metaphysical existence.
Okay, so then you would have to present the argument for that.
Because it's impossible on the contrary. If it doesn't exist, it leads into chaos.
But when you say it's impossible on the contrary, that's reasserting the claim from the outset that you've never gave the contradiction for.
No, it's very simple. Because if logic doesn't have a real metaphysical existence, then it's simply subjective. If logic is subjective, you cannot derive any truths.
Oh, I don't accept
That's the impossible of the contrary.
Wait, what's the argument? No, wait, what's the argument for that?
Even in the claim, even in the process of asserting logic doesn't exist.
Okay, what's the contradiction again in deriving objective truth from subjective logic?
Michael. So when you say, please. So when you say you can't derive objective truths from a subjective view of logic, you have to make an argument for that. That's just a conclusion. You can't make objective truths from subjective logic. You have to make a claim for that.
Is he over 18, by the way?
Crystal's no, he's not.
It's not an argument in and of itself. It's just a conclusion to an argument that you haven't presented. I think that's what monkeyboy is trying to say.
Yeah. So the whole point is that I'm trying to make.
You know, if you keep people under 18 and TikTok finds out they're under 18, you're gonna get your.
We don't care. The guy is very intelligent, and he's
No,
let's
you're gonna get
conversation.
your ability to.
We've
do
been doing
lives
this for years,
suspended.
man. Hold on.
Okay, whatever.
It's only if
yeah,
you make an
that's
issue
fine,
out of it. Hold on.
He's
It's only
35.
if you make an issue out of it. But we love him. He's very intelligent. He's a great guy.
No, I don't have a problem. I'm just saying that TikTok will suspend your ability to do lives. But look, I personally don't care. Okay, well, where did the guy go? Okay, he's still here. Yeah, so what's the contradiction?
Yeah, I'm saying that you can derive something objective from something subjective. That's like saying you can derive something infallible from something fallible. It just doesn't follow. It's a non sequitur.
What's the contradiction? And that's not what a non sequitur is. A non sequitur is when the syntax of an inference is actually not truth preserving. It's a formal fallacy. So that's not what a non sequitur is.
Non sequitur means it doesn't logically follow.
Yeah, but a conditional a conditional isn't actually, it's just a well-formed formula, not an argument, right? Formal fallacies are going to be errors within like logical structure of inferences, right? A conditional statement's not an inference, it's just a well-formed formula. So so it's not actually a non sequitur to go from fallibilism to infallibilism. But look,
no, it is. It doesn't logically follow. That's the whole point. This doesn't make any coherent sense.
What do you okay, well, that's just wrong, but I'm not going to stay hung up on that because that's not an inference. That's a well-formed formula. I don't know if you know what the difference is, right? And formal fallacies like non sequitur are literally just errors within formal structure, right? So, but anyways, irrelevant of that, the fact you're wrong on that, I just want to know what the contradiction is, right? So what you're supposed to offer is a proposition and the opposite of that proposition.
I'm saying that it's completely impossible to go from subjectivity to objectivity. That's the whole problem.
No, but that's the claim. What is the P and not P?
Very simple, that you can't go from subjectivity to objectivity.
Wait, but when you say it cannot, that just means it's impossible.
There's no subjective logic and then suddenly
oh my God, you're not
non-subjective logic.
Okay, but saying that it cannot happen is the modal claim. The satisfaction for the modal claim is providing the contradiction. So in order to satisfy the contradiction, you're supposed to offer up a purported P and not P. And that's not what you're doing. You just keep saying it cannot happen. What is the P and not P?
It's very simple. You can have subjective logic and non-subjective logic at the same time.
That's not a P and not P. That's not the antithetical proposition, right? That's reasserting the claim.
Someone in the comments wants to ask you a question, monkeyboy. How do you get from subjective logic to objective logical truths?
What do you I don't know what that even means. If you're a subjectivist about logic, then you're not going to get objective logical truths. It's just like very clear. But that's different from getting objective worldly facts. Of course, if you're a subjectivist about logic, you're not going to have objective logical facts because the logic's not objective, right? That's like trivially like just like a clear confusion on what's being talked about. What's being talked about is whether or not you can get objective facts about the world from subjective logic. Not if you can get objective logical facts from subjective logical facts. We're not talking about logical facts. We're talking about worldly facts. Okay, great.
So how do you get from subjective logic?
Great. So can
that's a circles. What's the contradiction? I don't know how many times. It's very simple that if you can't logically deduce anything objectively, you can't logically know anything objectively.
I agree, but that's not actually providing the justification that it can't happen. That's asserting it can't happen. To satisfy the assertion, you would have to offer the contradiction. Now, every time you offer the contradiction, you're just giving a conditional. Now, that's not what you're supposed to do, because what a contradiction is not supposed to be a conditional statement. It's a proposition and the opposite of that proposition conjoined.
Okay. So would you agree with this contradiction that if you have subjective logic, would you agree that if you have subjective logic, you can't even logically deduce that there's an apple sitting in front of you on the table?
Why would I accept that? That's just your claim again.
Because that doesn't follow. That's the whole point of your worldview.
When you say come to. Okay, but what's the argument? It can't happen. You keep asserting it can't happen. You're just giving an analogy.
Because in your worldview, that through subjective logic, you can come to know some objective truths about the world. I'm saying that doesn't follow.
We're not even.
That's the whole point.
Wait, we're not even talking about worldviews. We're just saying for anyone who's a subjectivist about logic, we're not talking about their entire pedagogical schema, right? We're just talking about specifically
if you believe in
being a subjectivist about logic.
Hold on.
I just want to know what's the contradiction there.
So if you believe in subjective logic, does that mean you could describe anything as being anything?
Why would that follow?
Well, you believe in subjective logic, right? You can't come to the conclusion that there's an apple on the table if there's an apple on the table. Could you describe it differently? For example, if I'm walking,
I don't know what you're asking, but this doesn't actually relate to
monkeyboy, you can't come to
clarification.
the conclusion. Wait, hold on.
This doesn't actually. This doesn't actually.
Monkey.
Sorry. This doesn't. I'm talking. This doesn't actually. This isn't actually relevant.
You know what interested is?
This isn't actually relevant to purporting the contradiction.
Monkey, listen.
This isn't actually. This isn't actually. This is not actually relevant to purporting the contradiction.
Boy. If someone's interested in your worldview, you better answer because you're on a panel about it, okay?
Okay, so this is not actually relevant.
So,
this is not actually relevant to what's the contradiction.
I don't care. Answer my question.
Great. If you want to run away, then we can...
I'm not running away. You can come back to it.
No, look, we can just go on the fact you're unable to satisfy the contradiction.
I am asking about your worldview because we're comparing. My goodness.
Okay, wait. There's no way we're actually...
Not going to pivot. We're not going to pivot.
Monkeyboy, are you telling me... I just want to make this... I just want to make this really clear. Really clear. You're telling me where in your world belief that you believe in these types of things, and then when you show something in opposition, you're saying that's not a contradiction.
You're not actually purporting a contradiction. So yeah, you're not satisfying.
No, wait. No, I'm asking you a question. When we're talking about your worldview, and your worldview asserts something, and then we show an opposition in that worldview, you're saying that's not a contradiction?
An oppositional worldview would just say the opposite. That's not showing that the opposite is true.
No, I'm not saying an oppositional worldview, an opposition in your worldview, an opposition of your statements. And you're saying that's not a contradiction?
How can you tell me
that something about my worldview being false?
How can you tell me?
Wait, hold on. Let me make this very clear. When your worldview, when your worldview states that, this is a stupid example, that all apples are red, but there are clearly green apples, that's a contradiction. Those are two statements in opposition.
That's not a contradiction with my worldview.
Hey, monkey.
Yes, if your worldview asserts that all apples are red.
No, that's an inconsistency with the facts in my belief.
Yeah, and your worldview, a quick question, yes. Michael. How can you tell me that?
No, wait. A propositional attitude isn't actually like relating to your worldview.
No, it depends on how your paradigm is set up. For example, the empiricist saying that all knowledge is derived from sense data. That's their belief. That is their paradigm. That still relates to your paradigm.
If I believe my dog is brown and my dog's actually white, that doesn't mean my worldview is wrong. That means I'm wrong about a certain proposition.
No, you keep conflating between
worldview allows for that to happen.
No, wait. He keeps conflating the fact that there's a difference between belief and worldview. But we're specifically talking about if your worldview asserts this.
If
your worldview asserts this, if
you're just saying that the semantic content's identical, right? And my worldview is like asserting something that's, antithetical to the facts, then yeah, there's a contradiction there.
Exactly. That's my entire
point. But that doesn't matter. None of that. No, your entire point was the fact you're evading providing the contradiction. You still haven't.
Wait. How do you know that we're evading? Your logic is subjective.
How is he evading? Oh, because he said you made a conditional statement that if your logic's subjective, then you can't come to worldly facts. Now I just want to know what's the argument.
How is that true?
Now I just want to know what's the argument. Now I just want to know. Now, sorry. Now I just want to know the argument.
It's you just admitted that if your worldview makes a proposition and then it's in opposition with something in reality or fact, then we have a problem.
Yeah, all you said there is if your worldview has a contradiction, does it have a contradiction? Yeah. Now I'm not saying it's true my worldview has a contradiction. We're talking abstractly about okay, so now we're gonna go back to what's the contradiction. Great, what's the contradiction?
Very simple. In your worldview, and this is simply in your worldview, the fact that you show your statement that, for example, logic is subjective, but you also make the same statement that you can know real world things. Those two propositions you're making in your worldview are opposed to each other. That's a contradiction.
You gave the example.
Those are not. Those are not contradictory.
It's actually why you're wrong.
Those are not the same proposition.
No.
Are those the same proposition with an?
No, a proposition doesn't have to be the same to be a contradiction.
No, it does. What a contradiction is identical. Yes, it is.
The whole point of a contradictions are propositions in that sense are opposed to each other.
Well, I don't know what idiosyncratic definition of contradiction you're using, but we're talking in the strictly logical and modological sense. What a contradiction is in logic and modal logic, and this is actually ubiquitous in all models of logic, right? Not even classical logic. All logic schemas have the same definition of a contradiction. What a contradiction is in logic is some proposition and the identical proposition negated in conjunction. So yes, it is the same proposition, just the opposite. If I said, I have a red shirt and I don't have a red shirt, that's a contradiction.
But you can say that under your worldview, right?
Now the proposition's logic is subjective,
and as I said,
there are objective worldly facts I could come to. Those are not the same propositions.
Wait, can you come to that?
I specifically said not all contradictions have to be identical. That's the point. You have different forms of your logical systems. But in this system, you do have
the same definition of a contradiction.
You do have a... No, it doesn't. Because we have different forms of this logic.
What logic uses a different definition of contradiction?
Well, probably classical logic when we're talking about the contradiction of...
I'm using it in the way of classical logic. I'm saying what system of logic uses it differently.
You're speaking in modal logic. You just
modal
said that.
Logic
are we not speaking?
Modal logic is an extension of classical logic. It uses exact same.
Yeah, we're not speaking in the
exact
We're not speaking in the reductionist sense.
Both of you calm down.
You just said modal.
We're not speaking in the reductionist sense to logic.
You said not every logic uses a contradiction the same. I asked you to offer a logic that defines a contradiction differently. Then you said you're using modal logic.
We're talking about an extension.
Not classical logic. Modal logic is not Modal logic is not its own independent logic. Modal logic is an additional.
That's not what I said.
It's an extension of operators on an already pre-existing system of logic, some other system of logic. Yeah. So in the context we're using it, I'm just using modal logic as the extension of classical logic. So obviously it's going to use the exact same verbiage. Okay, great. Now I want to know in what. Do you think there's a contradiction in the strictly logical sense, classical logic? Do you think that there's a P and not P?
Sure.
What is the P and not P?
In your worldview? Subjectivity.
What is the P and not P?
Deriving objectivity.
That's not a P and not P. That's a conditional statement.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so what's P there?
Oh my goodness. We're not getting anywhere here.
What is P?
Wait, can I, Michael? So
this guy is
slow. Michael,
monkeyboy, don't
you're slow, buddy. Shut that up.
You're not going to get anywhere.
Why can you not arrive?
I'm slow. It's like if you said if you have a donkey,
monkeyboy,
then you can have a horse.
Someone's asking
and
a
you
question.
say there's a contradiction there.
Monkeyboy.
And then I say, what's the contradiction? And you say the contradiction is you have a donkey and you don't have a donkey. Right?
Monkeyboy.
Instead, you just restate the condition.
Someone's asking a question. Blow some steam off, answer the guy's question, and maybe we can get back to this.
Yeah, I can answer it. I was in the middle of saying something.
Now no one's getting anywhere. Hold on. No one's getting anywhere. Everyone's getting mad. So answer the lad's question. We can go back to it or we can change the subject.
Okay, he can answer his question.
It's getting steamed.
Okay.
Yeah,
also, stop adding ad hominems, my goodness.
Yeah, okay, so my question is, monkeyboy. So my question is, how do we arrive to objective worldly truths from subjective logic?
I'm just gonna pass on answering that question. Doesn't matter.
No, answer the question. You said you would.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pass. I don't know why that's relevant.
Answer the question.
I don't have an answer.
So you mean
I'm just gonna say I don't have an answer.
So you entered. Hold on. Let me just establish this quickly. So you came on here saying that your worldview is more coherent. So, for example, the Eastern Orthodox.
I never made that claim. He made the claim. There's a contradiction.
Hey, you made the claim.
No, I didn't.
Hold on.
I never made that claim. You can look at the recording.
Monkeyboy for a second. Okay, beautiful.
Look at the recording.
Okay, so you made. I don't. That's nice. Okay, so I asked Danny hours and hours ago, or how long it would ever been. Could you point to me a world paradigm which is more coherent? Or answer these questions over Eastern Orthodoxy. You said this one.
No, I didn't.
Answering you a question. Hold on, Monkeyboy. He's asking you a question.
Don't lie. I'm going to interrupt you if you lie.
Answer the question.
I never came up here saying, here's a more coherent worldview. I came up here because he said that, Danny said you're not actually fulfilling your burden when you make the modal claim. And then I came up here and I said, what you're doing is you're doing a variable, you're shifting, no, I came up here, I don't know why you're over-talking. I don't know why you're over-talking. I don't know why I'm being over-talked. I don't know I'm being over-talked.
That's lovely.
What I said, sorry.
You've got the courtesy that
sorry, what I said was,
okay, Monkeyboy?
What I said was,
my goodness, Monkeyboy, stop acting like a monkey.
Sorry, look, what I said was that you're actually going from a variable to a constant shift.
This will be on recording. I don't know if
when
you
you're not
misheard.
you're not actually satisfying the universal quantification over a variable for the predicate of being an atheist to the consequence of actually proving. sorry, of the entailment of the of the consequent
relax.
being
Calm
that you
yourself.
can't
My goodness. Monkey boy.
I don't know where you
answer
people were
the
talking.
boy's question. How do you actually derive an objective world fact from subjective
Wait, sorry,
logic?
how is that relevant to my question? It's not.
He's
is
asking you a question. He's not debating
Great, but I'm not
you.
going to answer irrelevant questions.
He's just an idiot because
Okay,
you know,
so
dummy,
I don't know.
I've
I'm being
asserted
muted.
that.
No, it doesn't
He
matter
asked
if
me.
my question
He asked
is
me a
relevant
question.
or
I don't know. I'm
irrelevant
being
to
Monkey
muted.
boy,
to
are you
the
unable to?
discussion.
Ask me a
Relevant or
questions.
irrelevant
I don't know. I'm
to
being
Monkey boy,
muted.
are you?
Hopefully, we can get someone to talk to pretty quickly. The past couple of days, the people I've been seeing have been so like obnoxious, annoying, unintelligent, and just super unlinear dialectically. I just like want to have like a conversation. I can make very strict conversation. I'm gonna not allow any derails. I'm not gonna be like abusively controlling the conversation. But we got someone up.
Oh yeah. Well, I just want to say, Monkey Boy, you sound very intelligent, and I think you have some good points, and also you too. I do believe in God. I started off as an atheist. Both of my
Do
parents
you think
are.
you have like rational reasons to believe in God?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get there. Both of my parents, they're Catholics from Mexico, and so they have very, very strong beliefs and images and things like that. The thing that started turning me kind of towards believing was I started having my own personal experiences, and I'm not saying through church, I'm not saying through all that. I don't believe in any of that stuff. I believe God's kind of like an energy, kind of all
Okay, but
around
do you have
us.
like a rational reason to believe in God?
Oh yeah, I do.
What's the rational reason?
So rational for you or rational for me, or
I don't even know what that means. Rational isn't indexed. Rational is like inferential. Do you have a rational reason point blank?
well, I mean, I can't sum it up in one thing, because like I was saying in the comments, I mean, it doesn't have to be a miracle. It doesn't have to be something big. It's little things that lead up to something bigger, you know. With
I'm just asking you if you have any rational reasons.
well,
if you have any, you could just name it.
Not a rational reason that'll satisfy you, I'm pretty sure, but like I said, no.
Okay, I don't. But that's like an assumption about. I don't really.
Well,
care
I know,
about
but you're kind
satisfaction.
of.
I'm just wondering if you have any rational reason.
Well, I don't know, because I can't slim it down to one thing. I mean, it's not a one-time experience, and then you're like, oh yeah, God's real, you know?
So you're just saying it's an experience?
No, it's multiple experiences.
Yeah, but okay, so they're just experiences, but that's not what rational reasons are. Rational reasons are like inferential reasons, so they deal with inferences.
Well, I mean, in science, they do multiple tests that lead up to one big test, right? And that's a rational, you know, that's a fact. They have an evidence. It's
like
a lot
empirical
of
projects. Yeah, empirical projects generate evidence, right? So that just deals with induction. So that is an inferential method. Just having experiences isn't an inference. That's not like a rational reason to believe in stuff.
Let me ask you this then. So what's your rational experience on why you believe that God doesn't exist? Just give me one.
What does rational experience mean? I don't
well,
know
you know what I'm asking you. I'm asking you the question that you asked me.
I just said I don't know what that means. No, I asked what's your rational reason. I don't know
Okay,
what
so
rational
what's your rational reason? I'm gonna flip it on you. So what's your rational reason for not believing?
Okay, wait. Okay, I can answer that, but only if you just like, because I don't want you to pivot. If you're fine with admitting you just don't have a rational reason, then I could go on to my reasons why I
slim it down
disbelieve.
to one. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Okay, so then don't slim it down to one.
Yeah, so like I'm saying, I mean, once you have that close relationship and you pray and you have all that thing,
I think you're confused about what a rational reason is. What do you think? Do you know what a rational reason is?
I don't think it's a rational reason that's gonna, satisfy you.
No, look, I can agree whether it's rational or look, whether I think the rational reason is satisfactory is different from whether I can agree it's a rational reason or not. There's still things I can, recognize as a rational reason that are non-satisfactory. The point is what you're providing aren't just like in the taxonomy of inferences. I'm just not convinced whatever you said was even an inference. You just said I had certain experiences. That's not naming a type of inference. I don't know if you know what an inference is, but that's what rational reasons are. Rational reasons are inferences.
But the way you're putting the question is,
what rational reason do you have?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I can't find the words to put it so that I could, explain it, I guess. And that's just me being honest.
I don't think you know what a rational reason is, to be honest.
I mean, it's simple.
Sorry?
It's simple, but I'm saying that having a relationship with God, I can't slim it down to a rational reason that why God exists or why I believe that God exists.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what you're like supposed to do if you believe in any proposition on an epistemic basis. If I believe I have a dog and I think I'm justified in my
Well, it's
belief in a
because
dog, you would have to provide an inference. Unless you're admitting you're not justified in believing in God, which presumably you don't want to like die on that hill, then you would have to give me the inference. But saying that I can't articulate the inference doesn't make any sense. That just means you don't have an inference.
can you read? Can you read what Bart just said? Bart, you're very smart, man. Look at the comments. So I see it's.
I know, Bart. Look, that nothing he said really answered my question.
Yeah, because it's not satisfying you. That's what I'm trying to explain. That I can't put it in a way, even if it's a rational reason. I know what you're asking me. I'm not dumb. I know what you're asking.
Okay,
but it's not.
So you have a rational reason that you can't articulate. I just take that to be.
I guess you could say it like that because I'm trying to articulate it.
Yeah, I just understand that as you not having them. I don't think there's such thing as non-articulate inferences. I don't know what the hell that means. Like, inferences are articulate, right? If you're talking about deductive reasons, that's just like logical expressions, right? So if you can't articulate the logical expressions, either that's like an issue of your ability to communicate.
But see, a relation to the God or God isn't logical. It's not something from this earth. It's not a dog like how you were making the example. It's not something that you can see. It's not something.
So you're just saying you're not justified in believing in
No,
God?
I'm saying what you said, what you were just explaining right now.
Do you know what it means to say that my relationship with God is not rational?
Why are you down talking me? Like, if I don't understand what you're saying, I already told you honestly.
Yeah, look,
I told you my honest opinion that I can't articulate it to you.
Yeah, very clearly, I just have like strong like suspicion. I actually have like high priors that you're just like bullshitting in like a pseudo intellect.
No, it's because
any of the words you're talking about when you use like rational and stuff.
I feel like you're comparing. I'm not religious as in everybody, all these religious fanatics where they're explaining, no, I read the Bible every day, I go to church on Sundays.
Okay, just to be clear, what do you think an inference is? Like, define an inference, like right now, like an epistemic inference.
I'm not gonna allow you to just keep like, what's the point of it? Are we gonna are you gonna let me talk?
Okay, I'm just convinced you don't know what you're talking.
I feel like you're trying to like make me look.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm just trying to explain my part.
The issue is that you're saying I know what those are, and it just seems like you're lying.
Because I don't want to explain it to you, because I don't want to look like you're over here trying to make me look dumb.
Okay, yeah, but the fact that you're not answering just seems like motivation. Like, this is what I would suspect if you were lying. And you were, like, acknowledging that you're lying, and you didn't want to embarrass yourself.
No,
right?
you just...
If I was asked the same question, right, and because the reasons why I'm generating this suspicion that you actually don't know what you're talking about is because you said that your experiences are inferences. Unless you're doing, like, an enumerative induction where you're, like, taking the aggregate of certain, or at least, like, some samples of your like web of experience and motivating that towards a particular proposition, which you're clearly not doing, then I don't see in any sense you're providing an inference, right? So when you say my experiences, it just seems like that there's a category error, right? Because that's non-inferential. So it just seems like you're lying because you're giving something that's actually contradictory, right? It's a category error. That's not a type of inference. Your experience is not a type of inference. Okay, so then now that you keep saying stuff that motivate my suspicion that you don't know, I'm just going to pin you on whether you actually know it. So now I'm asking you to provide a definition of an inference as in like epistemology, right? Like epistemic reasons. What is an inference in terms of epistemic reason? And then it just seems like you're failing to like actually engage because now you're like, the true colors are being shown. Okay. But do you actually have anything to like, I mean, you just said you have like a batch of non-articulate reasons. I don't know what else there is to talk about. Do you have anything else to say? Because if you don't have reasons, I don't know what there's to talk about in the panel. He left on his own accord. I think I embarrassed him too much. Okay, well, yeah, I have a very strong suspicion that dude was like bullshitting his intellect. He had no clue what an inference is. Hey, what's up?
Hello.
Do you have like a rational reason to believe in God?
Okay, I'm horrible at debating, but I'm going to give this a shot. The only logical reason I can think there's a God is because of the 3 laws of logic. I think those are true, all the time, and I think that
the laws of logic. Okay, so when you say the laws of logic, you just mean the set of expressions like, okay, an expression cannot, if an expression is propositional, it cannot contain a contradiction. If an expression is propositional, then its truth value is either true or false, or the propositional expression that the expression is identical to itself.
Yeah.
Are you talking about that when you say law? Okay, yeah. Those are not propositional in the sense of synthetic things. So they're not true like the expression "I have a dog." They're true inherently. So I don't think they're true disrespective of an indexical, right? They're true index to classical logic. You can always deny the laws of logic. Many people do in logic, right? There's like, pair consistencies, right? People who don't subscribe to classical logic can easily deny the laws of logic. The laws of logic are true to the system of classical logic. They're not true independent of the system of classical logic. When someone says the law of non-contradiction, for example, is true, they're saying index to the system of classical logic it's true. Because these are language norms. They're not metaphysical claims, right? Logic is not a doctrine of metaphysics. So the law of non-contradiction isn't an expression of reality. It's an expression of the language of classical logic.
So does that mean?
And I'm not sure what the laws of logic have to do with the existence of God. Like, how is that a reason to believe in God?
Because I had the understanding that the laws of logic would always exist, regardless if
they don't exist.
I heard otherwise.
The laws of logic don't exist. Yeah, but the people who usually say that are either entirely confused about logic or even entirely confused about the robust metaphysical claim they're making. Typically, lots of people say certain things exist, like the color red exists. But the color red doesn't exist, right? The color red, in order to say something exists, that means that it's an object that's self-sufficient, right? And red is not an object. Red is a predicate. Red is something that only exists instantiated in things, right? It's an instantiable. Colors don't exist. Colors are only qualities of objects. They're not their own objects. Objects are things that exist. So red is not an object. But people say, in normal conversation, we're going to say, like the color red exists, right? But they're not using it in a very transparent philosophical sense, right? If they were trying to speak stringently, right, they were trying to use that most absolute precision in language, they would never say things like, colors exist, right? Because logic is a language. That's like saying the word the exists. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know. The does not exist, right? But the is a word in language, right? Just like people can say dog exists, right? The word dog doesn't exist, but the word refers to certain objects, right? We communicate certain phonological expressions to refer to certain objects in the world. But when you say the laws of logic aren't, again, logic is a language, it's not a metaphysics. So it's not actually communicating anything of the world. So when you say the laws of logic, that's not referring, that's not referential, that's merely sensible. So it's not actually referring to anything in the world. So when you say the laws of logic are true, they're not true, they're true abstractly, as in they're true of language. Like, look, it's like saying, if I make the expression, like the expression, I have a cat, that's a coherent expression, right? Or we can say that's a valid linguistic expression. But if I say the cat I have, that's not a valid linguistic expression, right? So it's false. That's a valid linguistic expression. But when we say it's false, we're not talking about reality there, right? We're not saying like the expression doesn't correspond with reality. That doesn't even make any sense. We're saying under the norms of, the English language, right? Under some system of linguistics, that expression is unintelligible under that system, right? It lacks propriety, right? It just means it's not conducive to the laws or the regulations of the specific linguistic schema we're using. And that's the same way for the laws of logic.
Would that apply to like mathematics too? Like 1 + 1?
Yes, yeah, exactly, yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, math is a type of arithmetic language.
Alrighty then, well, I concede.
All right. Do you have like any other questions?
I'll think of some more and come back up.
All right, sure.
Peace out.
Peace, have a good one.
I don't know how to exit.
Here, I can. Okay, you get it. Hey, what's up, Greg?
Hey,
you have like a rational reason to believe in God?
Yeah, I believe in God for 3 reasons that I can get into any one of them if you'd like, which the 3 are mathematics, physics, and morality.
None of those are reasons.
Well, I haven't given you the reasons within those categories.
Okay, well, that just means you didn't actually like satisfy the question. Okay, just name the rational reason to believe in God. Okay, well, then just give me the rational reason to believe in God.
Okay, so let's delve into mathematics.
Okay.
Are you familiar at all with evolutionary theory?
In like biology?
Yes.
No, not well. But just run the reason. Don't even bother asking me like clarifying questions.
Well, depending on how much you know changes the way I will speak to you.
That okay? Well, that doesn't even matter. Just provide like the
It does
reason,
matter
the
because
inference.
if I speak at a high level, you won't understand it. So I have to know your level
No,
of
you
understanding.
can provide the inference independent of knowing my like the amount of knowledge I
Okay,
have.
well, communication is based on understanding.
Okay, that's
so
fine. Let's not do
if
meta.
you don't
Just name
understand it,
that's
then I'm
fine.
not
Just
going to
name the rational reason. Okay, so just name the
you
rational reason.
is over talking going to be a
That's
persistent
fine. Just
thing
name the
in
rational
this?
reason. Okay, just name the rational reason.
Is over talking going to be a persistent
Okay,
thing in
yeah,
this
sure, that's
conversation?
fine. Now
Okay.
name the rational reason. Okay, name the
Okay.
rational reason.
So the reason why it's rational is based on the time frame of biological life being on this planet, right? So when we're looking
Name
at,
the rational. Look, do you think what you're giving me right now is an inference?
are you going to let me talk or no?
Okay, okay, just tell me
Okay, that's
if,
fine. That's fine.
in virtue of what proposition is God true? Okay, that's fine. He can run away. I mean, he was dodging every question, right? I don't think that was going to go anywhere. I don't like dishonest people who don't engage in conversation, right? He just wanted to keep dodging. Like he said, yeah, I'll provide my rational reason, and then he goes on and asks his irrelevant questions about how much I know. I thought you were. He said, which just shows he's lying. He said he was going to provide the rational reason. Right now, I acted as if my knowledge was a clarificatory question. It's not clarificatory because clarifying questions just is supposed to, clear up ambiguity or opacity in semantics, right? Like if terms are unclear. But that's not what was happening. He just was unable to actually fetch me the reason. Are you materialist? Are you talking to Miko? Also, are you talking about like metaphysical materialist? No, I'm not. And I don't know if you're asking me, but if you weren't asking me, you got my answer anyway.